Numbers.
Numbers.
I got numbers.
How's it going tonight, John?
Oh, it is going okay. If I can keep from yawning on the podcast, that would probably be good. But I guess it's my turn to edit, so I'll try to edit them all out.
Yeah, I found it. I'm not sure if I thought it was funny or just slightly embarrassing that I didn't realize I had mispronounced some of the titles that ended up in titles until I was doing the edit. I'm like, really? That's what I said? I'm pretty sure it's not Al Pacone. Yeah. Death Vader and Al Pacone. Don't podcast sleepy. That's
I almost texted you. It was like, you had some typos there, right? Until I saw your reply. That was like, no, those are not typos. Those are, what'd you say? Verbos?
Verbalos.
Verbalos.
It's not a typo. It's a verbalo. It sounded like a good way to describe a verbal oops.
Well,
anyway,
yeah. Who can be smart after a long day? Because we generally wind up punching the record button sometime between 10 and 10:30.
Yeah. Good thing we don't try to do this live.
Oh, that would be, I don't know, that could be really funny. Oh, anyway, no, it's all good. It's all good.
It is. Well, it did rain this weekend, which was kind of exciting.
It rained a ton.
Which meant I could actually see how my underdeck dry performance, under dry deck. Now, see, I'm already too tired to know what I'm trying to say.
Well, the sheet metal.
The corrugated sheet metal that is under my deck, that is acting as a roof for the patio under the deck. And the drainage.
And it worked?
It did. It worked awesome.
It
worked.
No leaks? Some leaks? Minor leaks?
No leaks. No minor leaks. No leaks anywhere. I did have to fix. It did give me the opportunity to see how bad because I went to a drain, but then I just had this long tube in the air that went out to the green space in the back, and it doesn't look all that great. It just kind of looks like a stick poking out of the side of the deck. So now I have proper drainage down a deck post to the ground and on a little platform, and it looks nice. It looks nice now. So that was
That's awesome.
My physical labor over the weekend.
The final completion of a project.
Yes.
That's awesome.
On to the next one.
So just speaking of rain, I think I said, last weekend that I was, 2 weekends ago, I guess, that I did all that stuff on the roof. Well,
yep.
So because the rain came, and there were drips where I had not put on the silicone, but there were no drips on the side of the barn that I had put the silicone on. So I counted that a very good, very, very good sign. And I forget if I mentioned, like, the main, a huge impetus for me on this was last spring. Mm-hmm. And I have no idea how long this was going on, but I happened to have the breaker box out in the barn opened up because I was putting some wall around it. So I had taken the whole front of it off, so all the breakers and stuff are exposed. And it rained, and there was like a centimeter of water in the bottom of the breaker box, and there was water dripping down from, like following the electrical cables that, go up out of the breaker box, like just running on down the cables.
I have been led to believe that is not a good thing. Water and power cables don't generally like each other.
I think you might be right, but I think I need to do my own research. Sorry. No. Yeah.
Okay.
I think very much a bad thing. So at the time,
so you got that fixed.
I made a couple of attempts to kind of fix this. I only really found it at the end of spring, or might even have been a summer rain sometime this summer. Ooh, in fact, it had to have been the summer rain because I didn't take that thing. Anyway, it doesn't matter when it happened. Just that, like, one of the last times it rained, we realized that was happening, and we're like, we need to fix that before winter. Hence the prioritization that went onto that. So, however, having that job half done, maybe a third done, I am having a guy come over on Sunday who I hope to pay to do the rest of that job. So, we will see how that works out. But the important thing is that the half that had the electrical panel were all done. And I forget if I mentioned, because I did two things on there. I did I painted over all the nails,
right, and
then I forget if I mentioned this, but I went up and I actually took off the edging of the on a metal barn. You'll have the sheet metal that comes down, and then there's normally like I don't know what it's called, sorry, but an edging that goes around on the roof line that is kind of like, I don't know, it must be like 4 or 5 inches, maybe even 6 inches on each side, and it kind of wraps over the gap and kind of, seals it. Visually seals it. But the roofer that I had been talking to said that what they would do in those is that he said that the screws underneath that edging are often a problem because the screws that you put down only have a rubber grommet right underneath the screw head. And in that case, you're screwing down through 2 pieces of metal, and any water that kind of comes down the roof that can make its way underneath the roof or on top of the roof, but underneath the edging can just go right down the screw hole because there's only there's only a rubber gasket kind of on the top. So he had said, oh, well, we'll take off that trim, I guess is probably the better word for that. We'll take off the trim.
Eaves?
Yeah, on the eaves there's trim. It's kind of it's kind of wraparound metal. I don't know how to describe that better. But so I took them all off, and he said you could get this it was not silicone tape, but really sticky tape, or that is designed for going underneath this metal, and basically so that way. So I put the tape down on top of the screw holes, and then the trim goes on and touches the tape, and then the screw goes down, and the sticky silicone-y tape basically acts as a grommet underneath and between the things. Anyway, I had done all that as well on that half. So anyway, I'm super happy with how that went, and I was very pleased to have a completely dry electrical panel. Guy's got to have his standards. So anyway, that's a real genius. That's a real genius reference, but that's a deep reference. Well, I had one more minor thing, which was I'm super frustrated for getting to that X-Carve to work. I spent a little bit of time this past weekend trying to get it to hook up to the Mac, and it wouldn't work. I couldn't get the COM port to show up, in devices. And I was like, well, I kind of gave up, and I was like, I just need to use a Windows laptop. But I don't actually have I think I do have a couple of Windows laptops in storage, of course, because I'm a total pack rat. But they haven't even been booted in 8-9 years.
They're still running Windows 97.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna go XP. but yeah. I actually went down and I spent $200 on the cheapest possible Windows laptop that they sell at Best Buy that had a USB-A port. And was a Celeron, not because they did have some that were Atoms, and I was like, I don't know if that'll work. So
does it work?
No, at least not with
Not yet.
45 minutes of why is no driver showing up here, and a little bit of Google this and Google that, and so no, not yet. So I'm still frustrated by that. I
Bummer.
think I'm going to have to start taking take a second USB cable out there and start going, okay, this doesn't. Take apart the X controller, find the Arduino board in there. Can I connect to a different Arduino thing? I might have to borrow an Arduino from you if you have one.
I have, yes.
I know, I have
some.
I figured you would. Supposedly there's an Arduino inside the X controller, at least according to some of the stuff I've read. I have not actually cracked open the metal box yet. So frustration on the on that front, although I haven't had a lot of time to play with it.
Right.
But that's what I was doing right before I came down here. I was like, oh, let me run out and spend half an hour out there, 45 minutes, and if I could get it to work, it would be a great news. Alas, it cannot be that. It cannot be fun. It will be my anti-fun.
It will be fun eventually. It's eventual fun.
Eventual fun. That's right. We will see. We will see. All right. How about topics? What'd you bring me tonight?
So I have 3. I think probably relatively quick ones. So, what should we call them? Security bites.
Security bites.
Just little nibbles.
There you go.
Just a few little nibbles. So, one was that I saw was a researcher had figured out a way to bypass the iPhone lock screen on iOS 15. And the interesting thing about, and I've seen several of these videos before, and but this time he said, why bother giving it to Apple? Because they don't really give you a whole lot of money, the amount of money you spend. So he offered to just give it to anyone who wanted it, the video to anyone who wanted it after iOS 15 went public. And so the article, the link has a video that just kind of shows the lock screen bypass, which is just generally interesting to see how, someone would go about doing a lock screen bypass, because it's not, I think, anything the average person would think of doing.
Stumble upon
this. But my favorite part, it's a Spanish researcher, and my favorite part is his username for iCloud is da igual, which is, I think, it's kind of slang for whatever, kind of that attitude of who cares, whatever, that. So I thought his username was funny. So
you'd have to speak Spanish to get the joke, though. Clearly,
yeah, that
flew over my head.
Yeah, that I found funny. And then the second one, Microsoft did a blog a week ago on the passwordless future is here for your Microsoft account. So you now have the opportunity to completely remove your password as a way to access your Microsoft account.
Awesome.
So I went to see if I could do that. And currently, the only option it provides me is I have to use the Microsoft Authenticator mobile app. The article says that over the next coming weeks, you will be able to either use security keys, so little YubiKey,
like a YubiKey,
little hardware keys, as your password. You could use a verification code sent to your email or SMS. Yeah, exactly. Or if you have a Windows laptop with the Windows Hello biometrics, which is essentially Face ID, and I think that's it. The Windows Hello will do the Face ID. I think it has a touch.
I was going to say I've seen some laptops that have a touch sensor on them.
Yeah,
like a fingerprint
touch
sensor.
Or yeah, I think they'll finally be successful if I can speak a passphrase, and it only opens if I speak the passphrase, not if anybody else does. That's winning for me. If you're going to get to voice type, authentication, vocal authentication.
How do you do that and not allow somebody to just replay?
I don't know.
Unlock my computer.
I don't know if the camera can tell that I'm actually the person. I'm not a photo or a 3D rendering. I don't know. A guy can dream.
Okay.
Or the Microsoft Authenticator app. Now, I didn't actually try to see if
pluck out your eyeball or your voice box.
That's right. I didn't try the Microsoft to see if I could use an alternative to the Microsoft Authenticator, because I went to do it and it said, take a picture of this QR code with your Microsoft Authenticator app. I'm like, it's probably the one-time passcode thing that I can do, that two-factor thing, that other things, but I didn't want to do that and accidentally mess it up, because it seemed to imply to me the Microsoft Authenticator mobile app had some extra magic to it. So we'll see. Anyways, yay! I'm looking forward to not having passwords.
I'm happy a company like Microsoft is pushing hard for passwordless.
Yeah. And then article number 3 was, I guess we just haven't talked about Facebook in a while. So
sure, let's talk about Facebook. They're exciting. Oh wait, sorry, I said that out loud.
I haven't used Facebook for years. I think at the beginning of the podcast I had said I actually deleted that's how long it's been. 197, 98 episodes ago. That's a long time. Anyways, I don't have a Facebook account, but this one was interesting because
you're all high and mighty. You have an Instagram account. We know this.
I have twice requested a full download of my account from Instagram with every intention of deleting it, and I just haven't yet. So, fair point. I do have an Instagram, but I'm getting close to pulling the plug on that one too. Anyways, so this article was about Facebook, who changed a bunch of their website code. Well, they're alleged to have recently changed that some of their website code to foil automated data collection of newsfeed posts. And it's a thing that, what ad blockers look for, what researchers use to find stuff. And what apparently they've done is attached a whole bunch of junk code to the HTML, the stuff that is supposed to render the web page, except they're doing it using in the form of the ARIA tags. And ARIA tags are for visually impaired users. So by putting extra junk, the ARIA tags are unused, making the screen readers, if you try to use a screen reader for chunks of Facebook's website, it fails to do so because the junk is getting in the way. And a lot of those ARIA tags are also used by different groups to, do some research. And there's more details in there, but a lot of the updates, recent updates, break the quote is, break many basic rules of accessibility design rather than presenting a clear and simplified structure. The accessibility code was hugely complex, potentially heralding problems down the road. When you see thousands and thousands of patterns of ARIA attributes, code that could be used for accessibility but doesn't seem to support accessibility, it poses a scenario where things could jump the rails and really negatively impact accessibility. So rather than figure out how to work with ad blockers and work with researchers who are using Facebook for things, they're fighting against them.
Facebook is once again being actively evil.
To that note, I don't know if you saw, I did not read the article and I don't have the link, but I did see it fly by, so treat it with a grain of salt, I suppose, but it's up their alley. Facebook is starting to promote themselves.
I saw that too.
In your news feed to, point at positive articles about how wonderful Facebook is. To try to improve their perception.
Perception. That's a good word. Yeah, Facebook is actively evil.
Yeah, not a fan.
Yeah,
but there you go. Those are the three things that security bits that I stumbled across this week that I thought were interesting enough to share.
Yeah, that's some nice little nuggets. Nuggets. All right. Well, I only brought one, but it's one that seems to actually have started a little bit of a tiff today, or might have been yesterday. So, this is a post by Gardacore about a vulnerability in Autodiscover. So, Autodiscover. So there's a protocol that Exchange uses, and clearly other apps as well, to help find the configuration of your email server. So,
right.
When you load up Exchange or Outlook and try and put in a new account, and you say, I'm, Amit at example.com is what he uses in here, then Exchange will try to find, oh gosh, how do I connect to, example.com's Exchange server? And it'll try to find things like autodiscover.example.com, and then with a path to a XML file that holds the configuration. Right. But it basically has a back off so that it will attempt to try multiple places. So if you're at domain1.domain2.com, it'll do autodiscover.domain1.domain2.com /autodiscover/autodiscover.xml. But then if that's unfound, it might try autodiscover.domain2.com to just kind of roll up one domain, see if that's there. And if not, it basically chops off the domains in the URL or,
right.
In the domain name. And the problem is it can back off, or some clients can back off too far, aka go all the way back up to just autodiscover.com or
which
other things
random people own.
Well, so the researchers here registered autodiscover.com.br in Brazil, .com.cn for China, .com.co for Colombia, autodiscover.es, .fr, .in, .it, .sg, .uk, and a couple of others. And then they just set up web servers listening at those and saw, here, the quote is, to our surprise.
Of course they saw.
Which I don't think that, I think that is we'll call that like linguistic flair. To our surprise. I don't think that was to your surprise.
We were not surprised at all.
Yeah. I don't think those words mean what you think they mean. Anyway, to our surprise, we started seeing significant amounts of requests to Autodiscover endpoints from various domains, IP addresses, and clients. The most notable thing about these requests is that they requested the relative path of autodiscover.xml with the authorization header already populated with credentials in basic HTTP auth.
Mic drop.
So let's see, I did this in a different thing. Between April 16th and August 25th, so May, June, July, August, 4 months, they captured 372, just over 372,000 Windows domain credentials in total. 96,000 unique credentials, and they didn't say who or there was a little bit of info in the article about the types of companies that these credentials were coming from, but they didn't actually out anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But the next thing they did, though, so there was a graph in the article that had information about how many protocols or requests had the basic auth, because some had tokens as well. And so what they went a little bit farther, and they did basically a protocol downgrade attack and returned a 401 for the requests that had a token associated with it to downgrade the clients to just send basic auth, which worked. So, obviously they're in control of this domain, but, you could do this if you did some domain hijacking or DNS hack as well. So, the thing that I saw, I think today on Twitter, was that Microsoft kind of came out, or a representative of Microsoft, let's say, released a statement that said that they were really disappointed with the fact that this wasn't released, under a responsible disclosure process. And, Guardicore is a security vendor. They should know better.
Right.
I didn't actually pull up the link, but the author of the article responded, though, and was like, I presented this paper in 2017. If you read the article, you would have seen a link to the paper and the Black Hat talk, and the fact that Microsoft has known about this problem for more than, I think he said, for years. And this, I should really pull this up, because it was pretty funny, because it was something along the lines of, if it was a 0 day, maybe, but in reality, it's a 1,400 and something day. Okay, here we go. My report clearly cites research from 2017 presenting this issue. See this paper from 2017 presented in Black Hat Asia. If this was a 0 day, sure. This is a 1,460 day at least. Saying Microsoft didn't know about it is untrue. And then a link to the talk.
Right.
Now, I don't know if it was responsibly disclosed in 2017, but we live here in the 2021s at the moment. So, anyway.
It's still not March 2020?
Well, it does seem like that record is continuing to spin, isn't it? Although, to be fair, there are parts of the country that are much worse off than Oregon. Oregon's, we're doing good. And actually, I saw last week, I think, that Washington County passed 80% vaccination rate. So
the county where we live.
The county where we live is one of the highest vaccinated. It's also one of, I assume that Multnomah County has more people, but I think Washington County is one of the more populous counties. It's got to be.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
It's all those techies.
That's right.
All right. So anyway, that was there was I went and looked at the guy's name is Amit Serper, and just a couple hours ago he posted in my LinkedIn post comments right now. There's a Microsoft saying, nice quote disclosure. This issue was not reported to us before the researcher marketing team presented it to the media, so we learned of the claims today. Anyway.
Ouch.
Yeah. And he responded to that whole thing and then said, I'd appreciate a polite discussion like the one I'm going to have with MSRC tomorrow in the afternoon. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see.
All right.
So anyway, that was my thing. How about something fun?
Yeah. So I liked this one. Are you familiar with the Breit-Wheeler effect?
I think you like this one because the last name sounds like your last name.
It's not spelled correctly, but it is pronounced correctly, I believe.
Yeah. I was not familiar with the Breit-Wheeler effect prior to reading this article.
So the Breit-Wheeler effect, which was postulated as early as 1934, describes the conversion of light into matter. So it's a science article.
Science.
There were a couple of a physicist who came up with a theory. It was Gregory Breit and John Wheeler, no relation, were able to prove that when two high energy photons collide, a positron and an electron arise. In other words, matter is formed. But it was all theory. Just recently, there were some researchers who were able to actually prove this for the first time and move it from, actually do an experiment that wasn't just all on paper. So using the big fancy machines, Hadron Colliders, I think. Using big fancy machines, I'm going to go with.
That's the technical term. Big fancy machines.
The researchers collided gold nuclei accelerated to 99.99% of the speed of light, and they examined the release decay products for pairs of electrons and positrons whose mass distribution, energy, and quantum states correspond to those of the Breit-Wheeler effect. So Einstein, who described the, E equals MC2, Einstein's famous thing, if
please
you
say
can prove it one
MC
direction.
Squared.
Oh, sorry. I'm still tired. Yeah, E equals MC squared. Energy is mass times, I think we call it the speed of light squared, but we see that a lot in one direction, which is the sun, right? Giving off radiation. But this, they've actually been able to create using fancy machines, which is how I'm going to say that because I'm clearly tired. They were able to find the Breit-Wheeler effect and prove that their theory is in actuality is actually correct. So there you go. You can turn light into matter. Confirmed.
It just takes a whole lot of energy.
0.99% the speed of light.
There's a lot of energy in matter.
Yes.
As you would know if you read the, what was the book? The Hail Mary. Right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's kind of one of the underlying fundamental premises. Project Hail Mary. Sorry, that's the name of the book.
Project Hail Mary. Martian or Project Hail Mary?
Project Hail Mary.
That was asked at work to some people at work, which they thought was better.
Oh! Sorry, that's what you're asking me.
Yeah.
Which did I like more?
Which was the better book?
I think that Project Hail Mary was the better book.
Okay, you are correct, sir.
But I feel bad because I don't actually want to spoil it on here at all, so I don't want to talk too much about it.
No. If you have not read Project Hail Mary, you should go read it. If you liked The Martian, if you like this article, you should totally go read Project Hail Mary. A lot of fun. Fun book. All right. My bonus fun.
All right. Well, speaking of books, so I'm gonna give myself 2 minor something funs here. So the book I finished last weekend, was called "The Man Who Solved the Market," which is a semi-biography about a guy named Jim Simmons who made the Renaissance Fund, and it was all about how they used what today we would call machine learning to trade stocks in the 80s and 90s and through the 2000s as well. But they were doing it earlier and, arguably better. There were some stats in there about like some pretty crazy returns that they had for many years. For auto trading, automatically trading in the stock market. So I read, today we call these people quants, and there's, some estimate, a large percentage of overall stock market traffic is done by quantitative traders who are, who maybe argue that they help by increasing the liquidity of the market because there's, buyers at many places and for many stocks because of all of the automatic activity, but also, what's the benefit to society for people who make billions and billions and billions of dollars, basically just skimming. So anyway, it was a good read, I would say. It was not a super encouraging read. I'll say, because one of the characters who's not like a primary character in the book, but is very much there because he was one of the early traders, was Bob Mercer, who was one of Donald Trump's biggest financiers, and his daughter is involved in that and was for a while the CEO of Renaissance until he got asked to step down because of his controversial stances, etc. And not really because they believed anything specifically, but because his presence was distracting for the company. So anyway, I'm glad I read it. It was a good read. Okay. But anyway, that was one thing you reminded me, talking about Project Hail Mary. The other fun thing, this I'm really hopeful is correct. So this is an article that I saw a link to on Twitter. It is out of Oxford University about solar energy. And this is hopeful. This is a hopeful article, a hopeful research paper, really. It's not an article on what are the costs and benefits of the transition to clean energy. And this paper argues that past models of solar and renewable energy projections have been consistently too high on the costs and too high on the fixed costs and too conservative on the deployment ramps. So for example, there's one of the comments out of this is, so they do a histogram of 2,905 projections by integrated assessment models, which are perhaps the most widely used type of global energy economy, for the annual rate at which solar photovoltaic system investment costs would fall between 2010 and 2020. So basically, they analyzed 2,900 studies or projections of the costs, and that the mean value of the projected cost reductions was 2.6% annually, and all 2,900 were less than 6%. In contrast, during that period, solar photovoltaics costs actually fell by 15% per year. There's a huge difference when you're compounding at 15% versus compounding at 2.6% or even 6%.
Right. Yeah. Math.
Yeah, right. And sure, and they even talk in the paper. They talk in the paper about the fact that, technologies undergo an S curve of, rapid change followed by, gradually diminishing change as it, sort of reaches technological maturity and saturation of need or demand. But there's more in here about so let's see. One of the other things I pulled out is some reasons for the poor performance of energy economy models include their seemingly arbitrary assumptions regarding the maximum deployment and maximum growth rates, plus imposition of floor costs. And there's a chart in here that has, based on the year of which the projection is, what the floor cost is for photovoltaic. And you can watch the curve of the actual cost to kind of break through floor after floor after floor after floor. So, clearly those floor costs were not the floor.
You're going with some heavy fun today.
Well, so let me get to the actual fun part of this. So the fun part of this study shows that if we were to do, and I don't, oh crap, I kind of skimmed some of their assumptions on the we. Who's the we? Is the we a country or the world? But it says they made some assumptions. The three charts that I remember in here, sorry, I'm coming from memory a little bit, but was a fast transition, a slow transition, and no transition. And their comment is the fast transition. Oh, sorry. They say in Figure 5C, we show a striking result. The fast transition, aka push hard at transitioning to renewables as fast as possible. The fast transition is likely to be substantially cheaper at all reasonable discount rates. Using the 1.4% social discount rate recommended in the Stern Review, for example, the expected net present savings, aka, if we were to push hard at this, would be $14 trillion. The median value, which gives a better indication of the net present savings likely to be realized in practice, is roughly $26 trillion. So basically, they're saying that pushing hard at renewable energy will not cost the I'll say global economy. It will actually save the global economy more than $26 trillion at the median estimate.
So money that can be spent elsewhere.
Sort of at least 14 trillion, or in the median is 26 trillion. So this is the next quote. The belief that the green energy transition will be expensive has been a major driver of the ineffective response to climate change for the last 40 years. This pessimism is at odds with past technological cost improvement trends and risks locking humanity into an expensive and dangerous energy future. While arguments for a rapid green transition often cite benefits such as the avoidance of climate change, these benefits are often contrasted against discussions about costs. Our analysis suggests that such trade-offs are unlikely to exist. A greener, healthier, safer global energy system is also cheaper.
Nice.
So I thought this was a cool article and a hopeful one, and something that if I find out it was falsified for some reason, I'm going to be really depressed. I tried to do a little bit of spelunking on it seems relatively. I mean, it only came out
right.
couple of days ago, I think. Sorry, let me go up to the top and get back to the date. Yeah, September 14th.
Yeah.
So,
well, the great thing about it is it's all data that can be validated and reviewed by somebody else.
They did. In fact, there was an article there was a paragraph at the end of the paper that says source code and data available on request.
There you go.
So that's cool. That's cool. So anyway, I thought this was very. I don't know if you'd call it a fun article. It was
encouraging.
Encouraging is
something encouraging.
Word. It was an encouraging article. So there you go.
All right.
Yeah, you need an encouraging article every once in a while.
Yeah, you do. Everybody does. All right. Well.
All right.
End of the evening.
I will talk to you later, Eric. Have a good night.
All right. Yep. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.